The desert stretched endlessly, glowing red beneath a sun veiled in dust. Out of the shifting dunes rose the skeletons of towers, their glass faces shattered, their metal bones rusted. Once, these ruins had been the pride of the ancients. Now, they were nothing but graves of ambition. Kairon adjusted the strap of his worn cloak as he moved silently among the ruins. His blade, Moonveil, rested against his back, humming faintly, with a power he barely understood. He was a wanderer, but not alone. His younger sister, Liora, walked beside him, her staff glowing with a gentle silver light. Where Kairon was steel, she was warmth. Where he fought, she healed. Together, they had survived storms, raiders, and the merciless desert. "This place reeks of sorrow," Liora whispered, her eyes scanning the broken towers, as if the stones themselves still mourn. Kairon crouched near a half-buried shard of glass, its surface faintly alive with shifting lines of light. The ancients left behind too many secrets. Some should stay buried, but before he could rise, the shard pulsed. A whisper drifted through the air, though no lips had spoken. "The constellation must not fall again." Kairon's hand gripped his sword. Liora stepped back, her eyes wide. "You heard it too," she murmured. "It spoke to us," which means, Kairon muttered, "we're not alone." From the edge of the ruins, armored figures emerged. Their cloaks were storm gray, their breastplates marked with a crimson sunburst, the insignia of the Crimson Order. They moved in perfect formation, weapons gleaming under the dusty light. At their front strode a man in a helm, shaped like a falcon, his voice cutting like a blade. "By decree of Lord Varos, these ruins belong to us. Relics, shards, knowledge, it is all the Order's claim. Hand it over." Kairon rose to his full height, meeting the man's gaze. "We don't answer to tyrants." Liora lifted her staff, light shimmering around her like a shield. "The relics belong to no one. They are warnings, not treasures." The falcon-helmed leader tilted his head, amused. "You are brave. But bravery without power is just folly. We the Signal, the soldiers, advanced." Kairon drew Moonveil. The blade flared with radiant symbols, its hum rising into a sharp, otherworldly song. The soldiers faltered, fear flickering in their eyes. "That sword," the leader growled. "It awakens." The ruins shook as the first clash of steel rang out. Sparks flew, blades flashed, and the old world's silence was shattered by battle. And somewhere, hidden in the desert winds, the constellation stirred. Steel clashed against steel, the sound echoing across the hollow ruins. Kairon's blade, Moonveil, gleamed like a shard of silver lightning. He parried 2 strikes at once, sparks dancing as he pushed his attackers back. Liora stood close behind him, her staff glowing with protective light. Every time an enemy's blade nearly reached her brother, she raised shimmering barriers that rang like bells under the impact. The soldiers of the Crimson Order moved with unnatural discipline. Their leader, the falcon-helmed warrior, never lost his balance. His eyes glowed faintly behind his visor, and every strike he delivered carried a force that rattled Kairon's arms. "You fight well," the man said coldly, forcing Kairon back step by step. "But your strength belongs to us. The Order bends all power to its will." "He'll die before I bow," Kairon spat, driving Moonveil forward in a wide arc. The sword released a ripple of light, sending 2 soldiers sprawling. The leader did not flinch. "So be Italiano. Bind." Kairon Liora's voice rose in a chant, ancient words flowing from her lips. A barrier of silver light flared, encircling them both. It shimmered like crystal, holding back the Order's assault for a precious moment. "Kairon," she said urgently, "Moonveil is awake. Listen to it." Kairon blinked. The sword hummed in his grip, symbols glowing along its edge, symbols he had never been able to read. For a heartbeat, he felt the weapon's pulse like a heartbeat, steady and strong. It was as if Moonveil itself demanded a promise from him. The falcon-helmed man raised his blade high, preparing a crushing blow. Kairon lifted Moonveil to meet it, and light exploded. The sword shone like a fallen star, and a wave of radiant force burst outward. The Order's soldiers were hurled back, shields cracking, armor sparking. Even their leader staggered, his helm scorched by the brilliance. When the light faded, silence fell. The Order regrouped, but the leader raised a gauntlet hand. "Enough," he said, his voice edged with fury. "We know now. The sword has chosen its wielder. That is all we need." He stepped back, signaling retreat. One by one, the soldiers vanished into the shifting dunes, leaving only their threat hanging in the air. "Enjoy your freedom." The falcon-helmed man called, "When the constellation awakens, you will either kneel or burn." Their figures melted into the storm, and silence reclaimed the ruins. Liora touched Kairon's shoulder gently. "Moonveil revealed itself to you. Why now? Why, Oos?" Kairon looked down at the fading glow of his sword. His jaw tightened. "I don't know, but if the Order wants it, then it must mean something far greater than we understand." Liora nodded slowly, determination shining in her eyes. "Then we must find the truth before they do." Kairon sheathed Moonveil, feeling its pulse still echoing in his hand. For the first time, he sensed that he was not just a wanderer. He was a chosen wielder, bound by an oath he did not yet understand. And somewhere beyond the dunes, hidden in storms and shadows, the constellation waited for them. The ruins of Arendor rose from the desert like the ribs of a fallen beast. Its shattered dome once housed the greatest scholars of the old world. Now it was a grave of knowledge, where whispers of the past clung to the dust. Kairon and Liora entered cautiously, Moonveil resting on Kairon's back, while Liora's staff lit the way. The air hummed strangely, as if the walls themselves remembered voices long gone. "This place is older than the Order," Liora murmured. "The ancients sought wisdom here. Perhaps the Oracle still lives." Kairon frowned. "If it does, it won't give it freely. Machines don't think like us." They weren't alone. In the outer halls, two travelers emerged from the shadows. The first was a tall man with storm-gray eyes and a bow of curved steel strapped across his back. The second was a woman clad in desert garb, her dark hair braided with crimson beads, and flames flickering at her fingertips. The man inclined his head. "I am Aric, a hunter. This is Seraya of the Ember Dunes. We followed the Order's trail and found it led here." "And you?" Seraya asked, her eyes narrowing. "Why do you walk into a place where even ghosts fear to dwell?" Kairon studied them for a moment, then answered simply, "Because truth waits here, and we will not let the Order claim it." A silence passed between them before Aric gave a short nod. "Then our paths are the same." Together, the four entered the central chamber. At its heart stood a figure of shifting light, a woman-shaped projection, her form woven from silver threads. Her voice was neither human nor mechanical, but something in between. "Welcome, Seekers. I am the Oracle of Eren. Long have I waited for those who would carry the burden of the constellation." Liora stepped forward. "The constellation. We heard its name in the ruins. What is Italiano?" The Oracle's image flickered, showing visions a sky filled with radiant stars connected in patterns, then those stars shattering into 7 fragments that rained across the world. The Shattered Constellation was the crown of the ancients, a network of power binding earth and sky. When pride grew, it broke, and the world fell into ruin. Now 7 shards remain. Together, they may heal, or they may enslave. Gather them before the Crimson Order does, or the night will be endless. The images shifted, mountains crowned with ice, a storm-racked sea, forests crawling with shadows, places where the shards lay hidden. Aric's hand tightened on his bow. 7 shards. The Order seeks them too. If they gain them first, they will forge chains over every soul. Seraya finished grimly, fire sparking in her palm. Kairon felt Moonveil stir against his back, its hum answering the Oracle's words. He spoke firmly. "Then we will find them first, even if the path is death itself." The Oracle's form shimmered. So be it. But know this, each shard tests, not strength, but spirit. To climb, TMU must prove worthy. The light began to fade, leaving only silence and dust. Liora turned to the others. Then our path is set. Together, we guard the weak, defy oppression, and seek the shards. Not for power, but for justice. Aric's lips curved in a rare smile. Justice is reason enough for me. Seraya's is burned with fire, and vengeance will walk beside it. Kairon looked at them all, then drew. The blade gleamed faintly in the half-light. Then let the oath be made. The Order seeks to chain the world. We will break their chains. And so, in the ruins of Erendor, a fellowship was born. The journey north was relentless. The sand gave way to stone, then to jagged cliffs where cold winds howled like restless spirits. Snow fell in sharp, stinging flurries, blanketing the mountains in white silence. The Oracle's vision had shown one shard hidden here, in the frozen peaks of Valdros, where even the bravest feared to tread. Aric's cloak whipped in the wind as he guided the group along a narrow ridge. These mountains are no place for one. Many enter. Few return. Then well be the few, Kairon muttered, tightening his grip on Moonveil. The blade thrummed faintly, almost as if urging him onward. Liora leaned on her staff, her breath clouding in the frigid air. The shard waits, but not alone. I feel a presence, watching us. Seraya, who seemed least troubled by the cold, held up a fist. Flames flared briefly, cutting through the blizzard. Good. Let it come. My fire will teach the snow to fear. But when the presence revealed itself, it was not in the form of soldiers or beasts. It was a giant, its body carved of ice and stone, its eyes glowing like frozen stars. With each step the mountain trembled. The creature's voice rumbled like thunder. Leave this place. The shard is not for mortals. Kairon stepped forward. We don't seek power. Only to keep it from those who would enslave the world. The giant's eyes narrowed. Many have said the same. None proved true. Without warning, its massive fist slammed down, shattering stone where Kairon had stood a heartbeat earlier. The group scattered. Aric's arrows streaked like lightning, striking cracks in the ice. Seraya hurled fire, steam hissing as flames met snow. Liora raised a shield of silver light to hold back the monster's crushing blows, but even combined, their attacks only slowed it. The giant roared, swinging a slab-like arm that sent Aric sprawling into the snow. Enough! Liora cried, raising her staff. A dome of light burst outward, halting the giant's strike for an instant. She turned to Kairon, her voice firm. It's testing us, not our strength, our hearts. Prove we are worthy. Kairon hesitated, then sheathed. Moonveil. He stepped into the giant's path unarmed. If you must strike someone, strike me. Spare the others. If my life is the price, so be it. The blizzard stilled. The giant loomed over him, massive fist raised. Tenet Frus, lowering its arm slowly. Mercy. Kodash, protection of the weak. You have spoken truth. The creature's form began to crumble, dissolving into shards of glimmering ice. Eneth's blaze, buried deep in the snow. A crystal fragment pulsed with starlight, the first shard of the constellation. Kairon lifted it, its glow merging with Moonveil's light. The sword sang softly, as though welcoming a lost piece of itself. Aric pulled himself to his feet, shaking snow from his shoulders. So, Tats. 1. 6 remain. Seraya smirked. If every shard has a guardian like that, this journey may kill us before the Order does. Liora smiled faintly. Then let it test us. The shards are not for the cruel. They are for those who choose justice over power. Far below, hidden in the mountain shadows, crimson-cloaked figures watched silently. The Order's spies had followed them north. The news of the shard's awakening would not remain secret for long. The path south, from the frozen peaks, led into endless woodland, where sunlight barely touched the moss-covered floor. The trees were vast and ancient, their twisted roots like serpents, their crowns lost in mist. This was the Ambravel forest, another place shown in the oracle's vision. Liora's staff glowed faintly, cutting through the gloom. "This forest feels alive," she whispered, "but not kindly. It watches Use." Aric muttered, his bow half drawn, "and it doesn't like strangers." Seraya's flames flickered at her fingertips, a defiance against the chill air. "Let it watch. Fire is a sharper gaze." But it was Kairon who felt it most, the weight of unseen eyes, pressing on his shoulders like chains. Moonveil pulsed at his side, warning him. The first shard hung on his belt, glowing faintly, but its light seemed to dim inside the forest, as though smothered. Hours into their journey, shadows stirred. Dark shapes detached themselves from the trees, figures half human, half smoke, their eyes burning like coals. Their whispers slithered through the air. "Why carry light when darkness offers peace? Why fight when surrender ends pain?" Liora clutched her staff tighter. "They seek to weaken our will. Do not answer them." One shadow lunged, passing through Aric's body. He staggered, his eyes clouding. I see my village burning. My failure." Kairon caught him by the shoulders. "No, those are lies. You did not fail, you survived, and you fight still. That is strength." Aric's eyes cleared, his breath ragged. He nodded. Bow. Steady once more. But the shadows multiplied, circling them. Seraya's fire lashed out, burning one into mist. "They prey on fear," she snarled. "Then let them taste mine." Liora raised her staff, light bursting outward like dawn. "Courage," she cried. "Hold fast to what is true." Kairon drew Moonveil, its symbols igniting. He stepped forward, slashing at the shadows. Each stroke released radiant arcs, cutting through the darkness. Yet the more he struck, the more the whispers pressed on his mind. "You cannot save them. You will fail, as the ancients failed. Better to lay down your sword and rest." He faltered, the doubt like iced in his chest. Then Leora's voice pierced the gloom. "Brother, remember the oath we protect, even if the world stands against us." Moonveil flared brighter, shattering the whisper. Kairon roared, driving the shadows back. One by one, the figures shrieked and dissolved into smoke, until silence returned to the forest. And there, at the heart of a hollow tree, a second shard pulsed with pale light. Its glow was steady, calm, like the quiet strength of truth. Kairon lifted it reverently. Moonveil absorbed the shard's radiance, the symbols along its blade burning brighter than ever. Seraya exhaled. 2 shards. 5 more. At this pace, the world might just stand a chance. But Aric shook his head. His gaze was fixed on the dark path behind them. "The order is coming. I can feel their hunt tightening." Liora's expression hardened. "Then let them come. We will not bend to their chains." Unseen in the forest depths, a falcon-helmed figure stepped from the shadows, his cloak brushing the moss. He watched in silence as the group moved on, his voice low and cold. "They think courage will shield them, but courage breaks. And when it breaks, they will kneel." The group's path led west, across broken plains where the wind howled like 1,000 voices. Their goal was Emberhold, a fortress carved into black stone cliffs. Seraya's people once ruled here, guarding the desert's borders. Now it stood in ruin, seized by the Crimson Order as an outpost. From a high ridge, Kairon and the others looked down at the stronghold. Crimson banners fluttered from its towers, and armored patrols marched its walls. Aric's voice was grim. "The shard lies within." The oracle's vision was clear. Seraya's fists burned with fire. Her eyes blazed brighter than her flames. "They defiled my home. Tonight Emberhold is reclaimed." But Liora shook her head. "We cannot storm it like reckless beasts. Too many innocents may suffer. We must strike with justice, not vengeance." The words stung Seraya, but she nodded reluctantly. "Then we free Emberhold, not burn it." At nightfall, The assault began. Aric's arrows flew silently, striking down watchmen. Seraya's flames flared just enough to scatter the shadows, guiding them through hidden passages. Liora cloaked them in silver light, bending sight away from their movements. Kairon led at the front, Moonveil glowing with the light of 2 shards. Inside, chaos erupted. Soldiers clashed steel with steel as Moonveil cut through their ranks. Kairon fought like a storm, but never struck the helpless. He disabled, disarmed, and pressed forward with purpose. Seraya's fire tore open gates, but when a terrified boy's servant cowered before her flames, she stopped, lowering her hand. "Run," she whispered, sparing him. His eyes widened, and he fled. Mercy soughed her rage. In the central hall, the Falcon Helmet commander awaited them. His presence radiated command, his blade a crimson arc of light. "So, the sword-bearer comes. Good Lord Veros will be pleased when I deliver your corpse." Steel rang like thunder as he clashed with Kilo. Blow after blow echoed in the hall, Moonveil's silver against the commander's crimson fire. Sparks lit the chamber, shards of stone cracking from the walls. "You are strong," the commander admitted, his strikes relentless. "But strength bends, hope dies. Only order survives." Kairon shoved him back, eyes blazing. "Order built on chains is not order. It is tyranny." Their blades locked. For an instant, Kairon glimpsed the commander's eyes behind the helm, tired, bitter, full of scars. Not a monster, but a man consumed by despair. Leora's voice rang out. "Even you can choose mercy. The order lies. You still have a choice." The commander faltered, his grip trembling, but then he roared, forcing Kairon away. "Silence. Mercy is weakness. Weakness destroyed the ancients. It will not destroy us." With a final clash, Kairon's blade struck true, disarming him. The commander dropped to his knees, weapon shattered. Moonveil's light hovered at his throat, but Kairon did not strike. "Kill me," the commander spat. "End it." Kairon lowered his blade. "No. I fight to protect, not to slaughter." The hall went silent. Even the order's soldiers froze, unsure. Mercy, sharper than steel, had broken the commander's certainty. And in the chamber behind the throne, sealed in crystal, the 3rd shard pulsed with starlight. 3 shards now sang within Moonveil, and its glow filled Emberhold. The order retreated, their banners torn, their will shaken. For the first time in years, Emberhold stood free. But as dawn rose over the fortress, Aric's eyes narrowed toward the horizon. They will not forgive this. Veros will come himself next. Kairon sheathed Moonveil, his resolve unshaken. Then, let him come. We will meet him with truth, not fear. The shards' light pulsed within Moonveil. 3 united, 4 still scattered. But time had run out. The Crimson Order had gathered its armies at the ruins of Zephyros' spire, the tallest of the ancients' towers, shattered but still piercing the sky. At its summit Lord Veros himself awaited the man who sought to bind the shards and bend the world beneath his will. To journey there was a storm of hardship. Villages burned under the Order's advance. "They weak!" fled the oppressed, cried out. Kairon and his companions defended them where they could, turning back soldiers, sparing innocents, reminding all that courage was not cruelty, and strength meant protecting, not enslaving. When at last they reached Zephyros, the tower loomed like a shadow against the stars. At its crown, a circle of crimson fire blazed the Order's ritual to claim the constellation. Vados stood waiting, a figure tall and unyielding, his armor a mirror of blood-red steel. His eyes burned with a terrible conviction. "You come bearing shards," he said, his voice echoing across the spire. "Give them to me. I will end the chaos of this world and forge unbroken order." Kairon's voice was steady. "Order without justice is a prison. We came to free, not chain." Fool's Veros snarled, raising his hand. Crimson energy erupted, coiling like serpents. Mercy is weakness. Mercy is why the ancients fell. The battle ignited. Lightning split the skies, crimson fire clashing against silver radiance. Moonveil sung its light, piercing the storm. Aric's arrows streaked like meteors. Seraya's fire roared against crimson flames. Liora's voice bound wounds and raised shields of light. Yet Verus was stronger than any foe before. His blade shattered stone. His will bent the air itself. Step by step, he drove them back. At last, he cornered Kairon at the spire's edge. "You cannot defeat me," Verus thundered. "You have shards, but I have resolve. My chains will bring peace." Kairon, battered and bleeding, held Moonveil high. Peace, built on chains, is a lie. And then Moonveil flared brighter than ever, the shards within, answering not to strength, but to the oath made in Erendor. To protect the weak, to sow mercy, to reject tyranny. The blade's song rose like dawn breaking, scattering the crimson fire. Beto staggered, his helm torn away. His face was scarred, his eyes hollow with loss. For a moment, he looked less a tyrant than a broken man. "Strike me!" he demanded, voice raw. "End this, and prove you are no different." Kairon lowered his blade. "No. The world doesn't need another executioner. It needs Ope." Silence was louder than battle. The crimson fire faltered, the ritual collapsing. The Order soldiers hesitated, their master undone not by death, but by mercy. "Tear shards in Moonveil pulsed one last time, rising from the blade into the sky. Above Sepidos, stars blazed brighter, forming the constellation once more not as a weapon, but as a promise. Its light washed over the land, scattering shadows, soothing, fearant. Order broke. Some fled, some cast down their arms. Verus fell to his knees, his fury gone, staring at the light he had sought to control. So, this is what it was meant to be. T-storm cleared. Dawn rose. Liora touched her brother's shoulder, tears in her eyes. The constellation is whole again, not by power, but by mercy. Aric and Seraya stood beside them, weary but unbroken. For the first time in years, hope burned brighter than fear. Kairon sheathed. Moonveil, our task is done. But the fight for justice never ends. We will walk this world, not as rulers but as its guardians. The light of the Shattered Constellation shone across the ruins, a reminder that even in broken worlds, courage and mercy could rebuild what pride had destroyed.